Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Whiskey Cavalier. A great episode. A lot of interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. First and foremost, Emma being gone is kind of like a woo, so that completely removes the theory, like, oh, she's the bad guy, which kind of makes that whole situation even sadder. Like, I was thinking, like, you know, if she didn't turn out to be the bad guy, that her and Will just eventually went their separate ways. Didn't want things to turn out this way. I was like, that sucks. That's such a, and it's, you know, especially because they make it hit even harder because, like, oh, her and Will haven't been spending enough time together, and he was going to go to meet up with her to make up for the fact this day, and it's like, oh, like, they love each other and everything, and it's just like they were literally on the phone moments before she died. And obviously, you know, Susan and Ray had to be the ones that kind of break the news to him and everything, and it's just... Then, like, we get, like, a week later, and obviously, like, it's affected everyone in very interesting ways. Obviously, Jay, he didn't bring it up immediately, but you tell, like, the moment he was like, there was a lot of people there at her funeral, it hit me. I was like, it has to be about yourself, isn't it? And it turned out to be the case. Because he is the way he is, you know, he's never really given too much thought about his mortality. Obviously, in his mind, he had the whole conversation with Will of, like, yeah, people in our line of work, you know, die, but... that's just people in our line of work. The fact of the matter is, this is people he's gotten close to. He's never really gotten close to people before now. And Emma, someone so close to his group, is gone now. It just puts it in perspective. And he realized, he saw how many people were there. And he wonders, like, how many people will actually show up at my funeral. And because for him, it's like, because of the way he lives his life, because he is kind of so secluded. I did like, because obviously the whole thing came about because Tina was like, you know, Jay is trying to reach out to you. It's like, what? Oh, well, I mean, the fact of the matter is she kind of threatens him into helping. It's like, you need to talk to him. And it's like, if he needs someone to talk to, he can talk to Frankie. She got to listen. He's like, oh, yeah, like, I realized how stupid that was the moment I said it. And he's like, well, the fact is, you know, it's like, oh, we gotten close because, you know, him and Tina, they've taken a bath together. And she's like, you know, he's like, but I'm not going to take a bath with Jay. And she's like, you should. Don't, you know, you get a bath bomb out of it. He's like, all right, maybe I will take a bath with Jay. And someone in the, someone walks by kind of giving him the eyes, and he's like, okay, judgy eyes. I love that. But when the time came, he was there to listen to him. He was like, oh, yeah. He's like, yes, I admit that it took Tina pointing it out to me because I can be very kind of self-involved and stuff like that, you know. It's kind of interesting. He's very self-involved, and Jay's very reclusive in that sense of not being very kind of antisocial and connections to people. So they make a very interesting pairing. I also do love that little handshake they did. I didn't even love Ray being like, you guys, that's so dorky. And even bringing it up to Tina's like, you slept with him? And Tina was like, yeah, I was thinking about it. And Edgar's like, wait, what? I don't even love Ray being like, no, in actuality, that handshake was so cool. I love it. It's so dorky awesomeness. I love it. But it kind of showing you, it's just crazy to think of how deep their bonds have grown, Jay and Standish. I love that when it was all said and done, though. He's like, you know, probably if me and Tina are still together, we'll probably go to your funeral together. He's like, yeah, that, you know, and Jay was like, yeah, if I died in the next couple months. And they both laughed, ha ha ha. And then they stopped laughing because it got a little too serious in that moment for Jay. Obviously, the whole questioning his mortality that soon, as well as Standish being like, I just got a girlfriend. I'm not, oh, like, the thought that, you know, it might only last that long, you know, scares him. So I love that. Another side of this episode, which is so interesting, is one, the Susan and Ray thing. I knew it was going to happen. It was already there in the air, because I even love it, you know, because it's like, wait, why are you defending him? It's like, well, he did save my life. And Ray's like, okay, I'll take that. I'm fine with that. And the fact is that he was there to comfort her. Like, obviously, like, the moment Will was there, he was like, oh, can I come in? It's like, and she's like, oh, no, the way she said it, I was like, Ray's in your room, isn't he? I thought, like, when Will left, he's gonna be like, see you later, Will, and kind of, I mean, when Will left, he'd say, see you later, Ray. I thought that was gonna be like him being like, oh, I know, but it's like, no, they kept it secret. And she feels so bad about it and everything too, because she's like, the fact of the matter is, because like Will's like, oh, I'm glad we tell each other everything, and it's like, now she feels guilty about that, plus it being Ray too. Like, it's like, we should tell Will, but they didn't. I even love it later on because obviously Frankie is loving the new Will, which is like, yo, Will is on the next level when he goes dark side, stabbing the dude in the leg, and Frankie's like, oh my god, I don't know, actually like this side of you. She's like, I really like this side of you. And she's like, oh my god, you guys should have seen Will. He was so cold and ruthless, and they were like, just like you. It's like having another you around. She's like, exactly. And Ray's like, I had a nightmare about this. And she's like, huh? And then Susan's like, no, it's not a good thing because you two work best when you balance each other out. So Will being the way he is only works because you are the way you are. Like, there is a perfect balance to it. So we don't need multiple yous. And it's like, oh, and it's like a good partner would know when their partner is in trouble. And she's like, oh yeah, maybe I should contact Gigi. And and then Susan's like, yeah, maybe we should stop bringing up the whole Gigi thing. And just like, why are you defending him? What? He saved my life. And they're just going back and forth. She's like, oh my god, you slept together. She's like, what? You think Ray could get all of this? You think he can handle this, like this and that? I'm like, yo, Susan. And she's like, please. And it's like, are you done? And it's like, how many times have you done it? And she's like, once. And Ray's like 17 and a half. I love it. It's so good. I even love it at the end. She's like, we have to end this, because she's like, I'm not one who keeps making the same mistake over and over again. He's like, okay, but do you still want me to wait in the car? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, I love it. It's so good. Because it's not just maybe it's a combination of because Susan is the way she is, that she's kind of bossy, that, Ray kind of like allows her to be in that position, but also because Ray is who he is. He is, even though he can be a little bit of an idiot, he's a very lovable idiot because he listens and he's very empathetic and sympathetic. And I think, especially for someone like Susan, who's kind of all about getting inside of people's heads, I think that's kind of refreshing for her, So I love the fact that she still haven't told Will, because I'm sure that's going to be a complicated thing because it's like worlds colliding again, because it's already bad enough Ray slept with Gigi for a long period of time. So it's probably going to be almost a repeat of that. It's like, oh, more Ray deception of him sleeping with someone I care about behind my back. Yes, it's not the same thing, but it's just going to trigger that in Will's mind, and maybe that's why they haven't told him yet. I guess maybe it's also because Susan's obviously kind of embarrassed and everything, and just, she's thinking like, oh, how could I do this? How could I make this mistake? So there's that. But I do love that it's like when the time came, like Frankie tried to stop Will, even like him going as far, he was going to light that dude on fire. It's like, Jesus. And he literally dropped the lighter, but Frankie caught it. And it's like, okay, we should talk. She's like, the fact of the matter is you kind of have to go back to being you. And, and he's like, are you with me or are you not? And she's like, I'm not, and walks away. And Susan's like, do you realize how crazy it is that you walked away? How much of a big problem was you walked away? She's like, of course I do. Now I'm like, because I love Frankie. It's still, obviously she's not well adjusted to these situations, so she's, for her it's still kind of all new territory for her. She's like, oh, like I didn't know how to properly respond in that situation. So they're trying to keep Will from going completely, full-blown dark side, which, like, even when he was taking out those other guys surrounding Griffin, I even love that line of, like, he was trying to chase after Griffin. She's like, there's, like, a 1 in 2 chance, and the first dude already made it, so you're not going to make it. He's like, you're no fun. She's like, huh, that's the first time anybody has ever said that about me. I'm like, it's so interesting. And then the whole aspect of, like, when Will was taking down all those guys that were with Griffin, like, I feel like he normally would have taken them down that way, sure, but it looked extra ruthless, him sneaking up behind him, bam, bam. And I was just like, yo, that's like some, like, top-level assassin stuff, because even Standards was like, oh, yeah, we can't even follow Will where he is. And he's actually pretty good at this, and Frankie's like, you think? It's like, no, I think, like, we all know that Will's very good at what he does, but you really really get to see it when he's acting like Frankie, of, like, how deadly Will is. It's like his happy disposition, like when the time comes, he can, well, it makes you wonder if like him like that ever went up against Frankie, who would actually come out on top. I'd assume Frankie, because Frankie's been Frankie for a lot longer than Will's been Frankie, so I think that's something to kind of think about. But because obviously Allerman set the whole situation up, because like, oh, I didn't order him to kill her. The fact of the matter is Griffin kind of did that on his own. So it's like, hey, one of you two kills the other. So at the end of the day, like, it kind of works out for me. So Bastard had the audacity to kind of gloat about it and everything. Because it's interesting because obviously he's not like a top dog within the trust. He's like probably like decent range. If not one of the top people, I doubt he's the top. But obviously there's probably like people above him. So I feel like he's either low tier or middle tier in the trust. Because I think eventually when it's all said and done, they'll probably cut him loose. Like Will might not get the chance to kill him. You kind of hope Will does just because he kind of deserves it after all of this. Especially for Will, because probably in Will's case, it's like, if I had put him down before, none of this would have happened. So that's probably still something on Will's mind. But also the thing is, like, I get the feeling like Allerman's kind of closing up loose ends and stuff like that. I feel like no matter what he contributes, it's too much of an issue because he's bringing too much attention to them. So I'm thinking that's where things are going to fall at. But we'll ultimately have to wait and see in that regard. But luckily, Frankie and Susan showed up to kind of stop Will. And I love her being like, the fact of the matter is, I've been the way I am for a long time, like being driven by revenge. She never actually went into specifics about that revenge. That never came up. I mean, there's a lot about Frankie we still don't know. Hopefully we kind of get some more into that later on, but what revenge? Because obviously we know conversations have come up about her dad, which she quickly shut those conversations down earlier in the season. But her being like, the fact is you're kind and honest, and honestly she's like, it's very disgusting. Even Will, under the circumstances, with his gun to Griffin's head, is kind of like, ugh. And then Susan's like, okay, are we going somewhere with this? But she's like, even with all that, the fact of the matter is you pulled me out of the bad place that I, essentially kind of being like, you make me a better person with all of this. So that was pretty neat. And luckily Will walked away, and Susan was the one that ended up having to put Griffin down because he had another gun. I wonder, was that the first, because I can't remember has she had to kill anyone like so far in the show. I don't think she has she? Because it seemed like that kind of struck her. I think that was like the first time she might have ever killed him. Maybe not. I mean, she is kind of like the team psychologist in a certain sense, so I guess maybe she can rationalize it. But it seemed like it shook her up a little bit, I guess. But for her, it's like he was a way of kind of finding out information about tracking down Allerman, so maybe that's one reason behind it. But it also seemed like it kind of got her, but maybe not. I don't know. But luckily, when it's all said and done, Will is back to being Will again. I even love Frankie being like, how do you put up with me? He's like, well, I can't answer that question straight to your face. He's like, well, I talked to my, therapist about it and my life coach, and he goes on, and Frankie just walks away. He's like, and that's how I handle you. Jay and Standish continuing to extend their handshake, which is like, it just gets better and better. I love it, because, now Jay realizes no matter what the circumstances are, like, you're a part of this family and we love you. You should always know that, no matter what happens, you're not alone. Even if at your funeral, we would be there, so that was kind of nice. And then, obviously, we get the twist at the end of the killer, the person who killed Emma, was none other than Tina, which I had a feeling about that, just because it would make the most sense story-wise, or just because I knew it had to either be between Emma and Tina about who would be the traitor amongst that team, and she has the audacity to be there and being like, oh yeah, like she's there helping and everything, and being like, oh, I'm glad you guys let me be a part of your family. This has all got to be part of Allerman's trap, because the whole point is that Allerman isn't going to just stop with her. Like, the fact of the matter is, even Griffin was like, oh, the fact of the matter is he's not going to stop until basically saying your entire family. Like, the last episode Allerman was in, what did he do? He tried to dismantle the team. He tried to play little psychological games. I think that's what Tina's supposed to do. She's supposed to insert herself in his team, learn as much about them, and use them against each other and against themselves, because that's why she made Standish and Jay get so close, because that way she can get more secrets out of Jay that way, because she'll end up pumping Edgar for information about everyone and using that to ultimately destroy the team, because Allerman's plan is to probably either dismantle the team by, once again, ruin their trust with each other, or, dismantle it by just killing them all and making sure that Will's the last one, because he probably wants to make Will see everyone he cares about killed. So that's going to hit hard, because for one, now Standish realizes, like, oh, his girlfriend is using him on top of that to hurt the people he cares about. Plus, she killed, Emma, which that's gotta suck. Especially because, like, oh, he gave that big hug to Will early in the episode. I forgot about it, hugging him. And he's like, okay, Standish, other people might want to hug. And he's like, just a little bit longer. And then Susan comes over, and Frankie was like, yes, you can be pissed at me or you can go hug Will. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna go hug Will. She's like, get off him, Standish. Come on, let us all have a chance. And then she's like, oh, I missed you so much. And Standish also hugs him. I love it, that family bond. But that's ultimately what it seems like Alderman's going to use against him. So I'm curious to see how long it's going to take before they find out about Tina. This has been a long con for her to kind of introduce herself and be like, oh yeah, like, here I am. Oh, like, she was working for someone else when she met the team, but it's like, oh, I was undercover, but now she's even deeper undercover in all of this. I'm assuming it was Alderman's orders to kill Emma just because he knew how much it would wreck Will. Well, he worked with Will for a while, so he knows how much of an emotional person Will is. Especially because Will, we learned about it last episode, but now we kind of bring it up. Because for Will, this is he got used to kind of losing people in the line of duty, because obviously he lost his brother. So, obviously he was handling things the best he could, but obviously even handling things this episode wasn't him handling them. It was just him just being consumed by revenge. So I am very, very interested to see what the next episode has in store for us with all of this, with this new revelation and the new developments amongst the team. So, but really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.